Hello, this is Purge, bring you guys a replay coaching. This is for no such thing. This is a birthday gift from his girlfriend. Thanks for signing up. You're currently 3392 MMR and you play predominantly support. You want to focus on general supporting skills and how to make sure that you put your team in the best possible position to win in the early game. You also feel you struggle late game with most of your support heroes and you don't know how to remain relevant, particularly when playing heroes like Crystal Maiden. Well, I think before we get started, I'm going to open my replay coaching again. If you guys want to sign up for that, it's coaching.purgegamers.com. Unfortunately, my main website's been down for like 2 weeks. The web dev is getting to it, but hasn't able to finish it yet. But if you guys want to go straight to the coaching site, click the link down below and you can sign up for replay coaching. I might open up some live coaching slots, maybe, but likelihood says no. Anyways, let's focus on the game. So, general supporting skills and how to make sure that put your team in the best position possible. The best way to wrong button. Best way to do that usually is to have as strong of a laning stage as possible. So you have some like basic things as support that you want to accomplish. You want to zone the offlane hero. You want to give kills to your carry if possible. You also want to grab bounty runes when you can, do pulls if you have downtime, things like that. Your item build is great. I think this is pretty solid. You give 2 tangos to mid, you give a observer ward to your other support, and now you're going to the safe lane. I think these are great starting items. If you only had 2 tangos, I would have questioned it, but I mean, maybe you could do something with heavy, maybe a salve or something, but it's probably fine, considering that you're going to be against an axe. Place the lane ward without them noticing. This is all great. You're also going to have Dazzle with Chaos Knight, which means that you should be able to lane well against the axe. So, especially because you guys have a tri-lane, I'd say the most important thing to do is just repeatedly kill the axe, and you guys should be able to do this at level 1. You actually messed up getting Poison Touch here. It may be a little bit misleading because it seems like the best skill by far, but it does slow for 3 seconds, but that's kind of a shitty slow, and it does do 140 damage. But if you use Shadow Wave, you're gonna use it on a Chaos Knight and a Night Stalker ideally, and that would be 2 heroes in melee range that do 80 each. That's 160 plus on your hero is another 80, so you could do up to 240 physical damage by casting Shadow Wave, and it only costs slightly more mana. This guy blocked the offlane camp. You're waiting for him to come over here to kill. This is all good. I would attack before I use Poison Touch because you could maximize your damage a little bit better. But this is a very, very easy kill. Okay, that was all good. You should probably prep for pulling right away because the wave is in a pretty aggressive position. I would pretty much just be spamming Poison Touch. This is good. Doing a pretty good job here. But now because these aggroed, you need to walk around. That's one of the downsides to Poison Touch, of course. Like, pulling right now is more important than what you guys are doing, because right now he's still kind of getting experience, and it's more important to make sure he gets no experience if possible. So, like, for example, right now a side pull is exactly what you should be doing. You're going to really miss a lot of opportunity here, because if nobody pulls, then this wave is always going to be here, which means this guy's always pretty safe standing right here. So, pretty much, if you ever get the chance to stack, just do it, especially on a large camp. I mean, it's a little scary against an axe because hypothetically he can take that wave, but I have a feeling you're moving over here to put a sentry ward down to check for a ward, and you are going to find it, and that's good and all, but you could have done that after doing the side pull, because now the axe is still kind of in experience range. Heal bomb was fantastic, but again, the issue is that this camp isn't stacked, so now when you pull it, it's only going to be a single pull instead of a stack pull. That's why it's so important usually to stack at like the first 53 seconds. I know this guy blocked the first wave, so it didn't really matter. But see, now you're trying to pull and it's not working because there's your creeps are in the way. So what you should do now, and I feel like you're about to mess this up, is because you couldn't do a single pull on the large camp, what you could do instead is start pulling at the small camp. Or what you could do is walk over here and then do a side pull. If you do either, I'm happy. All right, you've messed up. So this is basically where you kind of made your first major mistake, in my opinion. Either should have been a pull and a pull through, or a stack side pull. Even if you didn't side pull and it just stacked, I think that's still good enough because you're prepping it for later when you're going to pull. Hitting the axe a bunch of times is all good and all, but realistically you're using the courier a whole lot to run it out to you, when in reality you could be doing things like getting yourself resources. So like this is one of those time periods where I feel like you're sacrificing too much for yourself and not doing enough to help your team. Because you've already bought both a sentry and an observer ward and flown them out to you twice, which is a shitload for the first 3 minutes. I'd say that's a little bit of courier hogging by you, and you're also not thinking enough about yourself. Because I can often tell this by players who play support a lot, is they basically just if they play support a lot at low MMRs, they focus on supporting harder and harder and harder. And sometimes there are times where you need to think about yourself partially. Because if you do a pull, it's going to get you resources and it's also going to deny them. Whereas spending all this time to run a sentry out, that was fine. But bringing an observer ward out at 3.2 minutes, I feel like it's a little too early, maybe. I mean, I guess it doesn't even matter. It's not, I was thinking this was a nice stalker, but it's not. It just feels like you're spending too much time to try to limit your opponent's resources when you could just pull and do that. I mean, this Night Stalker, for example, this guy has no idea what he's doing. He's just standing in lane hoping the axe comes back and splitting experience. He should technically be pulling while you go do this stuff, but in a lot of cases, your teammates aren't going to be doing effective things like that. And if that's the case, that's fine. Let him do that stupid stuff, and then you can just be busy doing actually good things. Like pulling, for example. If he wants to stand there while you pull, it's better than, in my opinion, than you guys all sitting around. Alright, you guys ultimately get the kill, which is good. You probably should have gone for their bounty rune first, instead of walking across the river for theirs, because you were kind of in the area anyways, and it was about 4 minutes. I think that would have been good. You're again sitting over here. You shouldn't have even taken that. It's not worth it. I don't know why you're going over here to buy boots or something. Pretty much, there's almost never should you stand in a creep wave denying, by the way. I don't think it's useful at all as a support. It's a very, very look at the map so you don't aggro this. It's very, very not useful to sit in a creep wave and deny. Like, the carry can pretty much handle that. Whenever you aggro the creep wave like this, it's a giant mistake as a support, because whenever this happens, you have to run it back to your creep wave. So this basically, instead of like walking over here to do something, like walking over here to prep for a pull, you are forced now to walk from where you aggroed them to the creep wave. So this wastes like 4 of your seconds, 3 of your seconds, something like that. So what you should do now is walk over here and prep to pull. But again, what you keep doing is you keep looking around for the axe. You're basically trying to play Dazzle like a 5-position roamer, a 4-position roamer. And you do put an observer ward down, and that's great and all, but there's still been 0 pulls, and it's at 5 minutes. Like, actually 0 neutral camps have been pulled. The other stuff you've done in lane is really good, but the fact that 0 pulls have happened is just not okay. And yeah, this is going to give you more vision and let you know where the axe is and all that stuff, but it's not like you always need to know where the axe is. Like, you've already killed this guy 3 times now. You don't really need to, like, I don't know if you blocked the camp or not. Yeah, you even blocked the camp. Like, it's fine that you did that, but it doesn't, like, super gimp him. It's more like, you're just putting so much resources. Like, how many times did you walk from here over to here? It's been like 3 or 4 times, when instead you could just be pulling this whole time. And Dazzle, in my opinion, is really good at pulling. Because if you keep stacking the large camp, and then you do a side pull and get a full creep wave in, you can walk in and do like a 4-unit Shadow Wave bomb, which is like physical damage, which isn't reduced by magic resistance. So you should just honestly stack the crap out of the large camp if you can. Again, it's a little dangerous against Axe, because if things go bad, he can clear with counter helix. But if it's like a Bat Rider or some other like AoE magic offlane hero, it's not very dangerous, because this is, the more you stack, the more magic resistance auras it gets, and which makes it hard for them to actually clear it. It's a good time to nuke. Alright, a little bit late there. You waited way too long to use Shadow Wave, because those 2 creeps were low, and once those creeps died, now your nuke did way less damage. So that was maybe going to happen. I don't think it's too weird that you ended up dying here. I don't know why this did. That guy, oh, we got a minus, interesting. This skill build is also arguably very bad. So at this point, you're only level 3. Realistically, you could have done at least 4. And the other thing about pulling, it's not just about the levels, it's also about the gold that you're gaining. Like, the reason that you have so much gold this game is because you've been participating in a lot of kills. And by the way, I say a lot of gold, it's because you've been spending a lot on like support items and stuff like that. Like, you bought I'm gonna turn off this music, I think. That's really distracting to me when I'm watching a replay. So yeah, you bought a lot of support items and things like that, but your levels could be better, and you also don't have any gold from getting last sets. Like, we're still like 7 minutes in here, and you haven't even touched the waves a single time. You focused entirely on alright, you're probably gonna die for this one. Most likely. Okay, maybe not. You've done a good job. Like, the D ward was good. I think that was a pretty decent move. And you've gotten kills where you needed. You've used your skills well, but you still haven't pulled yet. And that's just kind of crazy, in my opinion. Because once you integrate pulling into what you're doing, you're gonna get so much better. Like, you're gonna raise at least 500 MMR based on what it looks like right now. Because like, you're doing your support duties pretty well. You're showing in a smart, safe way. Like, you made some small mistakes with like the creep pulling and stuff like that, but really my biggest complaint right now is just that Dazzle is very much a lane winner support hero. Pretty much, you gotta grave that. Because you definitely shouldn't have died there, or at least you should have anticipated that he was going to use his stun. Because as soon as he gets 4 hits in, gets his Jingu Mastery, he's going to use his Boundless Strike to kill you. So, shouldn't have died there. Item-wise, I think you're buying way too many sentries. This is the 3rd sentry you've purchased, and we're 8 minutes in. First one, completely warranted. Second one, I'm going to call that a big gamble. Like, 100 gold at this point in the game is super dangerous. If you didn't even know for sure if you had a ward there, and the place you put it, like, did give you some vision, but maybe you had, I think you had, like, vision. They basically jumped on you here when you... If they jumped on you and you know that they didn't have vision there, like, for example, if they attack from low ground to high ground, you know they have a ward covering the top. Okay, go for a sentry ward. But the fact you bought 3 sentry wards now is crazy to me. That's 300 gold. This one you traded, so you got 100 gold back, and this one you also got 100 gold back. But buying a 3rd one now is insane to me, because you don't know for sure where they're going to have wards. None of their heroes are invis heroes. So unless you see an invis rune or something like that, it's just not worth it. Like, that's 100 gold that could go towards you getting a magic wand or a windlace or towards arcane boots, or like, there's just so many things that it could be. And now, because you haven't been pulling it all and your levels are now behind, you're level 4 at 9 minutes, which just shouldn't happen. You should be almost level 6 right now. You should be at least level 5 in my opinion, and you should have at least like a magic wand with a windlace or something like that. Like, you're doing really well, but you're really dropping the ball by not pulling. There's a lot of moments there where you could have stacked or pulled or something like that, and instead you're focused on like trying to affect the map. And to be honest, the hero, like Dazzle as a hero, does not scale super well as a hero, because he doesn't have stuns. He just has kind of damage, and he kind of keeps your team alive, but it doesn't allow you to control the game. So the way that you're trying to play now, where you're actually running across the map, like, this is basically what Night Stalker should be doing, not a Dazzle. Dazzle should generally spend a lot of time getting some levels in his lane, do some like TP support for heroes that are going to die. Sometimes you can do some ganks, but the fact that you're leaving the safe lane, which there's still resources here, and there have been all game, that nobody's taking these, but you could. And now you're going to be in the off lane, and this is, like, honestly, you're pressuring well. You're putting wards in good places. You're in the right place at the right time to make good things happen, but you're still missing all of these resources that you could have had from the laning stage. So if we look at the levels in the game, like, this is going to be super common at your MMR probably, at lower MMRs. There's going to be like one asshole who jungles because he doesn't know how to lane well, so he just jungles to get levels. And then that guy's going to be way more leveled than you because it's easy to jungle. But if you get good at what you're doing right now, and you're definitely good, you just need to get the pulling down. Once you just do tons of pulling in the interim, you're going to have so many levels that you're going to be like kind of close to this guy's level, and you're also going to have way more items. And then when you do these rotations, you're going to have an extra level. You're going to have maybe an arcane boots or something. It'll really accelerate your game in a lot of big ways. This is 100% a kill. That was actually really unfortunate. I'm going to go back and watch that at regular speed. You probably should have graved this guy. I mean, the big mistake was when the Nyx was running to the right, but because this guy's at least level 6, you should have realized what was about to happen. So, definitely should have graved that guy. You should have probably waited till the creeps grouped a little bit more. This is where you grave. You maybe could have waited another second. Very interesting ultimate here by the Monkey King. I don't know what this is. Oops. Alright, let's go back to player perspective. So, again, you're using your skills well and stuff like that, but if you're level 5 at 11 minutes, you're having a big mistake. And you're basically relying on Tome of Knowledge to level up. And this should usually only be the case for supports that aren't very good at farming, aren't very good at pushing, aren't very good at the lane stage, or have a bad laning stage. Like, obviously you still buy this thing, but honestly, you're definitely under-leveled and under-farmed for where you should be, net worth-wise. For somebody that's been at 5 kills so far, you have less net worth than you should, and you have less levels than you should. And yeah, you guys are giving the Chaos Knight a crap load of levels and farm. He's spending on stupid things, but the important thing is that you could have more. And having more is going to massively change how these like early engagements go. Pretty much. You're buying the right things with your gold. 2 clarity potions here. I like this. Could have been a rain. I mean, you didn't have money for a raindrop, but you know, could have been a raindrop hypothetically. Now you're having mana problems. You showed on the creep wave here when you really didn't need to. What you guys should be doing is just pushing this as fast as possible. Honestly, I would consider even nuking it. Like, you're spending a lot of time kind of like running from one place to the other to help out a little bit, and it feels like a little bit of an overkill to me. Because again, you're kind of like running around to pressure heroes, even though you really should just be pushing lanes and supporting your allies. Not a big fan of this skill build. I guess it's okay because one more range can't really hurt too much. But I think Weave is really good, especially this game. Physical damage, physical damage, physical damage. Let me just let my dog out of the door 1 second. But I'm not the biggest fan of the skill build. I really think Weave is fantastic, personally. I think it does a lot. And now you've spent so much time in the off lane that you basically haven't been in the safe lane for like 5 minutes. And it's definitely good that you're pressuring down here. But one of the negatives is you guys are spending so much time in the same areas that you're also limiting your experience. Like right now, Night Stalker's trying to push this wave, but you're just standing within experience range. So this isn't even like helping him as much as it could. He's getting half of the experience he should. So like, for example, what you could do instead is, oh, there's nobody mid lane, there's nobody on either side, nobody's pushing in. If you just TP mid and just use like Shadow Wave right here, boom, you get 2 last hits. And then you go up here, get this last hit, get this last hit, boom, you've got 4 last hits. Next creep wave comes, use Shadow Wave again, stand in the creep wave, nuke your, heal your creeps, and all of a sudden you do 5 unit Shadow Wave. The whole wave dies, and all of a sudden your creeps are hitting their tower. But instead what's happening is you're standing here next to the Night Stalker, just in case he gets ganked. And yeah, it might happen. Maybe Legion Commander's going to come and jump on him and try to duel him or something. But if you read this incorrectly, what you do is you stand around and you get less farm. Like, you've got 7 last hits right now. And that's just really not very many. Level 7, we'll see what we do with your skill point. Weave is good option. I'm content with Weave. Max Shadow Wave, ASAP, of course.
Middle tower is under attack.
Flesh sustains. Gold remains.
This is fine that you're going up here, but again, it's kind of the same principle. It's like, why are you waiting here? Just in case the Chaos Knight gets ganked? Do you genuinely expect a Chaos Knight gank? I mean, here you are pushing now, because you see all the heroes are other places, but the way that you're spending your time is becoming very inefficient. And the amount of last hits you've gotten is still remaining very low. To be honest, like, what's probably better is if Chaos Knight pushes this wave and you're not even here. Like, he doesn't really need you for a tier 1. The only way he probably needs you is maybe, like, having an Observer Ward on this cliff. Because once there's, like, a ward here, this guy should be completely safe to push the tower without getting ganked outside of a smoke. And to be honest, you can't do that much about that. So what I would prefer, if you guys are killing the tier 1 and you're invading their jungle, this is pretty much where you should be. You should either be mid, in my opinion, pushing the lane, or you should be down here pushing the lane, or in the jungle invading. I don't think you're as useful up here pushing. Like, this guy's super farmed. He's got a Midas. He has the highest net worth. He doesn't really need you to take this tower, and he doesn't really need you to safely push this out outside of having vision. So I think it would be better if you were actually playing in their jungle in this moment. Not to say that what you were doing before wasn't that, but the balance that you're doing is just slightly off, is basically the issue. Alright, ward here. Perfect. Only downside is now they can TP behind him, which means that there's a chance that he can still get caught here. And you are finishing your Arcane Boots soon, which is good, but you still have spent I would say, a pretty large amount of time not being efficient this game. Now you're going to get your Arcane Boots. Like, Scarith Mage is down here fighting heroes, and you're still kind of just... This one's okay, I guess. Should be using Weave. You also should have let him go first. It was a big mistake to use Poison Touch. If you use Poison Touch, he might spin and TP, for example, and then he gets away. You gotta let the Chaos Knight throw the stun first. That was definitely a mistake. Or you would have had to Weave early, and then wait until his spin ends while Chaos Knight chases him. But at the very least, you should have let Chaos Knight use his ultimate first, most likely. I would have probably just used my nuke on a creep to get the last hit to ensure that the Battle Hunger went away, but it's not a big deal. It's like there's a TP behind coming. Now you're in a terrible position. This is, of course, the problem with pushing up there without having a ward behind, especially against like a Monkey King. It's kind of tough. I think your Weave should hit more heroes, not just you. It was kind of wasted on you. Whereas if you weave their heroes, there's a higher chance of it affecting the outcome of the fight. So this is the reason that this all kind of happened was basically because you guys did a lazy push, is what I like to call it, where you basically just went to a lane and you kind of push up the wave and you hit it a little bit. And one guy's like, I'm gonna go over here, and then another guy, and then he comes back, and then you're still sitting there. And it's like, if you don't show up somewhere and push the tower within like 30 seconds, they are going to show up with enough heroes to kill you every time. And in that meantime, you probably had Skye with Mage showing mid, so they knew Skye wasn't mid or top. So now they're like, oh shit, there's 2 heroes here. We can just TP to the shrine and take a fight and kill at least the Dazzle. So you basically just did this lazy push where you showed up and slowly pressured the lane, but instead what you should do is show up, push the lane, and get out. Because almost immediately, if they're fast, they're instantly going to TP and they're going to come and kill you. So if you don't have a ward here and here, it just is really dangerous to even do this push this early in the game because they can easily get behind you. If this shrine wasn't here, it's easy. They won't be able to get past this ward without a smoke. But because they could, it's just dangerous to do so. And you guys end up losing 3 heroes because of it, which is a huge amount. Like, that's a massive amount. This is only the 1 death, and it was still like a 500 gold swing. Especially if you're winning. Any deaths when you're winning is a massive amount. This sentry was not really needed in my opinion because you guys have been on their side of the map almost all game. Like, this lane has been pushed up a lot, and mid just got pressured, and you guys have been top. That means that they've been enclosed on this area in the map. So that means most likely, I mean, I can see their ward here, so it's cheating, but they're going to have a ward somewhere on their side of the map. It's not going to be on your side. If this lane's being constantly pushed up and people are playing aggressive, then it's more likely they swung through and put a ward on the cliffs. This is 100 wasted gold. And when you're playing support at lower MMRs, don't go crazy buying sentries like this. I already kind of pointed out that I think you're buying too many sentries, and like, you going for this D ward right here is absolutely way too much. Because this is going to add up over the course of the game and end up being like probably 500 gold that you didn't need to spend. And you just got your 16th last hit. Like, two and a third last hits or something like that. 2 last hits about is 1 sentry ward. And what you should be doing, you should not be pushing this once and then going to jungle. You should push the shit out of this wave. You should have nuked it there, and then you should stay here and nuke it again. That's another 5 last hits. But instead what you're doing, well, let me go back to see what exactly was happening when you started walking here. Basically nothing. So I guess they had vision of this guy, but you don't need to walk from all the way over here to go to here to get here, because this guy's already dead by the time you're here. Instead, if you kill this creep wave, this wave is pushing towards their tower, which means by the time this action happens, like, you could have just killed 1 more creep wave and the whole wave would have pushed like crazy. And the next time the creeps met, they would have been like here or something. And then if you win this fight, you can rotate down here, kill this creep wave, and then take the tower. But instead, because you didn't push this wave, now you guys, after you have all this fighting, even if you win the fight, you still don't take a tower advantage because of it. So you're gonna have to walk all the way over here again, push the wave, and then go down. So lane pushing is 100% a huge thing you're missing when you're playing Dazzle. Dazzle is fantastic at pushing. They're really, really good at pushing. It's very important that you do it well. It's just free gold anyway, so. Alright, the Disruptor does not know how to play his hero too well. Alright, obviously you will heal, grave if needed, but you don't need a grave. Alright, it doesn't matter, obviously. Yeah, I suppose they have an axe, huh? Alright, and ultimately the fight doesn't work out because you guys were all there and you stood around too long and they ended up killing you. Like, after these guys get a kill, you guys should have all just left anyways. It's not worth it to stay around. Because again, it's like a lazy push. You're staying in one area for so long that they know where you're going to be and they show up with the right heroes and they kill you. And you also didn't really have the tools to deal with them. You needed to basically have flying vision over the Night Stalker and probably kill that guy. Or over the Monkey King, excuse me, and use like Night Stalker with a quelling to cut down a trees. And if you do that and you kill the monkey, then everything's easy. And while you were busy pressuring down here, which was good, again, you guys were pressuring, happy you did that, Chaos Knight's able to easily take the tier 2 tower by himself. So you kind of are pressuring, but you're pressuring in a way that's just getting you guys killed. So you guys just need to fix the way they are pressuring, and you need to push waves more. And if you had pushed waves more, you would have more items and probably just not died. Like, you've got 200 gold right now. I guarantee that if you had jungled more and pushed more lanes, you would definitely have at least like a Glimmer Cape or maybe even a mech right now if you had done a good job pushing lanes and pulling, and you'd have more levels. Like, you dying to the Monkey King probably wouldn't have happened, and that probably would have been the case for maybe 2 ganks, maybe 3. So you'd probably have at least 2 less deaths, which means 2 less kills for Monkey King, who's now 9, 2, and 3. So like, all of this like pulling, the amount of gold you gain and all that stuff, it really adds up and puts you into this place where you're not doing as well as you should. So even ignoring all these bad plays, if the bad plays still happened, but you were also pushing lanes and had more items as a result, completely changes the game. You should be weaving way earlier. Like, as soon as you get to here, this cast range is huge. That's like your whole screen. So you should have weaved like super early. Also, another way to help deal with Axe rather than relying on Grave is if you get burst heal from like Mech. Because then if he's about to do his chop, you can cast your heal and pop Mech and instantly heal him for like, what is that, like 270 HP. And if he uses his ultimate wrong, then you don't have to worry about chop anymore. More fighting over here. I didn't have your camera preview obviously, but try to keep an eye on the rest of the fight if possible. So where do you go now? You're putting a ward down. You know where I would have gone? I wouldn't have TP'd over here because this guy's dead already. They don't really need you to guarantee this kill. Like Night Stalker's really good at chasing and this guy's like already stunned. What you should have done instead is maybe consider going mid. Like right now, heal bomb right here. 3 creeps, nuke these 3 creeps. They might not die, but it's going to push the wave. But instead what you do is you TP across the map to go run with your team again. It's just not worth it. You're not spending your time well. Or you could have TP'd top and walked up here and pushed this creep wave. So pretty much you're just focusing so much on support duties, putting wards down, and that's it. And you're also walking to fights, but you're not setting up fights, you're not pushing lanes, and you're just spending too much money on wards. And you're behind on farm because you are missing some of these basic principles. And as a result, it's just, your impact is less than it should be. Like you're honestly playing fine, but your KDA is not very good, and your CS is extremely low. And I bet your GPM is really low too. Let's see if we can find it. Gold per minute right now is 206. That is atrocious. Like, anything under, like, 280 is really bad, in my opinion. Maybe I'm misrepresenting something here because it's 23 minutes in the game, but if this game ended, like, right now, you would have terrible GPM. 200 is nothing. 200 is absolutely crap, which should tell you something. I mean, there's 4 heroes in this game. Everybody has low GPMs because they don't know how to farm properly, and they don't know how to collect resources for themselves. So you're running over here, what are you doing? Just walking through the jungle like usual. That guy's gonna die, and where do you go? You go to the shrine. Instead, you could walk down here, push out the wave. Like, look at all this gold. And Night Stalker has to do this because he's, I don't know if he's just thinking about gold, but this is what Night Stalker is doing. This could have been you, and you can do it so much faster than Night Stalker because this guy only has a single target nuke and a right click. You've got a right click and basically an AoE nuke. You did end up doing it to the mid lane, which is good, but like you should have been doing this literally all game. This is only like the 3rd time maybe that I've seen you go to push a wave. And even like Chaos Knight doesn't push fast. But like Dazzle pushes fast. Like heroes with AoEs are OP for that reason, because they can farm so fast. You probably shouldn't go 10 int, by the way. It's almost, I really don't like getting 125 health, but it's worth it because living is more important than having a little bit more mana pool. Like once you get Arcane Boots, you don't really need 10 int. 10 int doesn't really do that much. So again, this is another sentry that you place that doesn't actually produce anything. If you look at their wards, it's all on their side of the map, and the reason is because that's exactly where you guys are pressuring. You've been playing in their jungle this whole time. That's where you should be putting your sentries, not on your side of the map. You have to read where they're going to ward based on where you guys are playing. That's how it should be. Like, your average 2K player is going to ward in the places that you're warding in a game like this. So you got to match where the wards are probably going to be to where the game has been played. Because if they actually do have wards all the way in here, and you guys are always on their side of the map, it really doesn't matter. And for that reason, like, you guys are actually playing in the right areas usually. It's just your nuances off. Putting a ward down here. This is actually fucking insane. Like, day vision for this tower is like this. Like, walking here is crazy. Like, they will see you. It's going to produce a kill, but that did not need to happen. I thought you were just going to put a ward here and walk away. But you can't cross here. They'll see you. That was crazy. You should have gone at least, like, I don't know, this way or something. But don't even go that way. Or go this way is maybe the way you go. I'm not sure. So now you've died a bunch of times, 1, 5, and 8. You still don't have an item. You just have Wand Arcane, which is not acceptable for 26 minutes when you're winning. But you guys aren't even winning by much. And the reason for that is because nobody's really farming efficiently. Everybody on your team is pretty much just sticking together while 1, maybe 2 heroes farm. That's it. And that's why your team's GPM sucks. This guy's GPM is good because he's getting a lot of kills. This guy's GPM is good because he's just farming. And he also has a Midas and he's got a couple kills. But all of these four guys are farming and getting kills. And that is why their GPM is a little bit higher than your guys's. Let's look at their last hits. That's 4 heroes with last hits. On your team, you only have basically, we're just going to discount 42. That's pretty much nothing for 27 minutes. You basically have 3 heroes that don't get last hits, and they have 4. And that is literally the only reason that they have more net worth than you. It should be like, Night Stalker should be at least equivalent to like almost the Monkey King, and you should probably have at least 2,000 more net worth by now. And if you had died less times, then they would have less net worth anyways. So if your guys' ganks aren't like so overpowering and your map control isn't so overpowering and they still kind of have places to farm, they're always going to outfarm you. But because you didn't push lanes, pressure correctly, made mistakes, not fully map controlling, then they're just going to outfarm you. Should have done weave early. Like, as soon as the fight starts, pop the weave. The earlier you do it, the more it'll help. It probably wouldn't have saved that guy. He's still going to die. But it might have made a little bit of a difference. Okay, I had to cone my dog. Alright, more wards getting put down. Ooh, I don't... You should be able to see this on the map.
Tower is under attack.
100%. I guess you're running for the kill instead. So one of the counters to the split push that these guys are doing is to push lanes yourself. But you have to be preemptive, you can't be reactive. If you're not preemptive, like... What you guys are doing, you're just running around constantly with like ganking heroes. But if nobody pushes the waves, it's like what I said before when you guys, instead of pushing the wave here, you came over here to fight. If nobody pushes the waves, then you're never going to be getting ahead enough. Like the only way it'd work is if you kill these guys every time they leave the base. It's literally the only way. So if you have no tower pushing to combine with your ganking, it's just going to keep happening. Unless you have two heroes that are also pushing lanes and independent. Like if you guys have a 3-man gank squad, and the other 2 heroes on your team are just always pushing, and they're safe, and they never die while they push, then it's okay. It's not a big deal if you have a 3-man gank squad constantly. But push the lane. Like, 1 dead creep, 2 dead creep, 3 dead creep, 4 dead creep. Here's another 4. Sorry, that's 5 creeps. And here's some more creeps. I don't give a shit what's happening on the map right now, to be honest. Look at all these creeps. It's all gold, just thrown away. Like this creep wave actually just pushed for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and nobody went there. And instead you guys are running across the whole map to go take a fight over here. Like, what's the point? And you took a bad fight and you haven't even won. Like, look at the GPM. It's never changed more than like 1,500 this whole game. It's never been more than that. Even though you guys have been basically winning it the whole time, in my opinion. I mean, there's been a shitload of kills, but you guys, other than this last little batch of like throw whatever happened, you guys have had way more kills, in my opinion. And you've had much better position. You've been on their side of the map all game, which means you should be winning, but you're executing poorly. So that's why things aren't working. Pushing is like the base level. So it's not even worth talking about the late game stuff from here. Like the major things you're missing are pulling and pushing waves. And as soon as you have a little bit of regen, especially like an arcane boots, you can push like crazy. And usually the safe rule is if there's not like a tier 1 tower, you can push at least 2 waves. Assuming that you know that they're not jungling in this area when you go to push top. So if you go top, push this wave, and then it goes up to here, you push it again. Usually you don't want to go 3, but just adjust that number depending on how often you, or how fast you think they'll be able to gank you. Like if you think they're jungling here, and you get up here, I would use Shadow Wave maybe twice. I would nuke once to kill the melee creeps, and then once to hit the range creeps, and then I'm gone. I'm not even going to wait for the catapult. Because I know by that point, they're going to have like at least 12 seconds to walk over here to kill you. But if you don't think they're farming in this area, then you can push probably 2 waves. Because they would have to like TP to the shrine, use Shadow Blade, run all the way across, then initiate on you, or something like that. So push waves more. Your last hits are far too low. You should have at least like 60 last hits at this point. Minimum. And realistically, you'll probably should be a higher level. So that is the first game that you submitted. The second one we can take a look at. I did download the new third one that you sent me. But we'll look at this one first. And you are Lich this game. So you said you felt you didn't do so well in terms of acquiring items this game. You tried to assist mid lane, but felt that you ultimately wasted most of your time in the early game. How do you tell where you should be? It kind of requires you to look at the map and the lane matchups and realize like what... you have to look at what the lanes are and think about how your hero will match up against it. Like, oh, if I gank this Queen of Pain as Lich, is it going to work? And the answer is probably no, because the Lich doesn't have a disable and the Quap's just going to blink, for example. So you kind of have to think like, what are you going to provide if you go somewhere, and then decide where you think you're going to be able to provide something positively. Looks like you went pretty much same build as before, except you didn't get... You got two sentries this game because of a Brood and a Riki, which I think is super reasonable. I maybe would have considered a Clarity Potion, but it's honestly not that big of a loss. Looks like he stole the Bounty Rune. One big mistake you're making is that when you're playing Lich, you actually want to be at the creeps as soon as you can, because you're waiting to use Sacrifice or something. Like, you actually need to run and be here to sacrifice the first creep, because it puts your sacrifice on cooldown earlier, and gives you guys the level advantage. But instead now you're sacrificing here. So these creeps have been running for actually 23 seconds. That means your sacrifice could come off cooldown 23 seconds earlier. And that's just a huge deal because this is a massive amount of experience. So you're giving them slightly more experience in the early game by this. You're also in lane earlier, so technically you can cover your allies, but you don't really want to get Frostblast level 1 because it kind of makes your hero suck anyway. So basically what you're accomplishing is not a huge amount. And again, here's the situation now. This is very similar to last game in that you guys want to kill the offlane, but if this doesn't work, you guys are screwed if you don't pull. Like instantly when you see a puck, you guys should be thinking, hey, it's a puck. How are we going to kill this guy if he can just phase shift the Sacred Arrow and this guy doesn't have a disable? What you should think is get as much resources as possible while denying him. And the easiest way to do that is to pull. And it looks like you're going to do that this game. You did stack, which is good. Now you just got to make sure that he doesn't do the stack for you. He's going to trade better than you because he has more stats and higher base damage by far. And now you aggroed the creeps, so you have to run all the way around, but you got sacrificed again, which is all good. And it looks like they haven't done a pull yet. So far this is is decent, I would say. Can't believe they haven't killed your Sentry Ward yet, but there it is. Okay, let's see if you realize. Okay, you did. Oh, this is gonna be a hard one. Okay, nice, you got it.
Your time above ground is over.
Wow, what an arrow. Oh, come on. The Weaver wasn't looking. Oh, that's too bad. That would have been a really cool kill. Alright, let's go back in 10 seconds. What's this item? Did he just bring himself like a ring of protection or something? I'm not sure. I would say your hero position... First of all, your camera positioning is really bad. The place you should be looking right now is this. Because if you're looking up here, there's not going to be anything over here at all. I know you're probably shopping or something like that, but you're staying in a really dangerous position. This is usually the way offlanes approach. And there could be a hero. I know that there's nobody on the map, but they could easily be within your field of vision. Like, I see a puck on my map, but I don't know what his HP is. I don't know where he's standing and things like that. And it looks like you're kind of doing the same thing as before, where you're spending a little bit too much on support items. You bought another Sentry Ward, which is okay. Maybe this is for the mid lane or something like that. But I don't think you need to be here. I think you said you tried to assist the mid as often as you can. You are affecting the game. But by sitting top, all you're doing is trying to limit what an offlane hero is getting, and you're still not doing it the right way, which is pulling. Like, it should always be pulling. So yeah, you can go mid, and you can put a Sentry Ward for this guy as soon as it finally walks out on the courier. But we're 3 minutes in, this should be an upgrade. And you're just standing around. Like, you basically walked all the way mid, you grabbed an Arcane Rune, but you can't kill this guy until you get detection. But you guys don't have detection yet, so why are you still here? What's the point? You're gonna wait till he casts like one spell and reveals himself and then use your nuke or something? Like, what's the point? Like, you waited so long for this, just to, like, you almost killed this guy, and you guys probably could have, but you guys are just spending so much time here. Like, you have 3 heroes in the mid lane.
Dire's courier has been killed.
And as a result, like, what have you accomplished? You've accomplished, like, nothing. You've still sacrificed a couple times, but now Puck's in a 1v1. And for the last, like, 2 minutes, Puck has gotten full experience. So, yeah, you haven't really accomplished much mid. And it's basically just because you went mid, and you need to recognize, is there realistically any way that I can kill a Broodmother in the mid lane when he has this many webs up and he's level 4, and I don't have detection? The answer is absolutely not. There's no way. Even if he gets arrowed, he will go invisible. The only way it works is if he walks out of the web, gets arrowed, and then you guys kill him. That's the only way. And you need to recognize that instantly, because if you don't, then you stand around in the mid lane for 3 minutes, or for 2 minutes. It's honestly been about 2 minutes now since you were mid, and all you've done so far is a little bit of nuke and bought a sentry. Like, all you're doing is actually just limiting Shadow Fiend's experience gain right now. You're actually just hurting him more than anything. And now that you pulled the creep wave over here, that's also hurting him. I assume that you want to put the sentry down to go for a D ward. But yeah, it's very difficult to do so. Like, if you want to do this D ward thing, what you should do is go do something, wait for your sentry to come out on the courier, and then walk mid. And get there as the sentry does. But it's now been like 2.5 minutes that you've been waiting mid. Alright, now you're finally ditching. But that was honestly 3 minutes of your game. You just spent 3 minutes mid and did nothing. Actually nothing. You sacrificed 2 creeps. You got an Arcane Rune. You made sure that the top rune wasn't gotten by enemies. This is what you should have been doing this whole time. Nuke the puck, sacrifice, pull. Wait in the side pull. You could have done a pull through. Would have been easy. And if you did that, you would have gotten these at least like 1 or 2 last hits here. But this is still fine. This is like your next best option. This guy's going to get some tangos. He should pull the creep wave. This is not worth it for you to... Well, it's fine because this will kill it, but it should have been this guy pulling the creep wave to the tower while you went to the side pole to defend it. Because now Puck can move over here and get these last hits, whereas if you stand here while this happens, while your guy last hits under tower, then you protect the side pole, basically.
Let the world end
Okay,
now.
you guys get a kill, which is good. You're running the wrong way. You should be going instantly. Okay, you're fine. Well, you should have ran instantly to the creep wave, in my opinion, or instantly to bounty rune and then back to the lane. Because that's at least one creep of experience that you didn't get. Like, whenever you should have definitely used your nuke there, because you could have gotten 2 last hits. And if you got 2 last hits, then that's 80 more gold than you wouldn't have had. And you sacrifice afterwards anyway, so your mana would have been refilled. Like, whenever my carry leaves the lane, I'm like, oh, hell yes, I can get 3 last hits or something like that. Or I can get free experience for 3 creeps. That's a huge advantage. But you're not really abusing it as much as you could. Again, nuking the puck is all good. Now that he's back, you leave the lane. You don't need to sit here and deny creeps anymore. What's the point of you standing here to auto-attack creeps? You could do something else, like walk over here, prepare to pull. But instead you're standing in lane. Again, you're aggroing creeps in a way that you shouldn't. This looks like a kill potential here. That was all fine. Go back to sack or creep, all good. Probably should have still gotten the last hit there, because you should have realized that he was up here, so he wasn't going to be able to get it, therefore you should have gotten it. Again, you're sitting here in case you need to harass, but what are you not doing? You're not thinking about your resources. Like, you honestly don't know if this puck is ever going to come back, and you're basically gambling. And by the way, this lane is pushing. There's 2 ranged creeps, 1 melee versus 1 ranged. It's going to push, which means that it would be the dumbest thing in the world for Puck to walk up here to stand here, because there's literally no gain except for maybe right-clicking the Weaver once or twice. So the only chance of you doing anything by standing here is if the Puck walks up to right-click the Weaver, and even then he's not going to die because he has time lapse in Sakuchi. So basically you just stand here for 10-15 seconds for no reason. And again, you're waiting to side pull, all good and all, but that could have been a pull through. You could have gotten the golden experience for these creeps, and then you could have pulled it through to here, which would accomplish about the same thing, except the only negative is you wouldn't have been able to stack it. And now again, you aggro the creep wave, and it forces you to walk back to the tower. When instead, you do the side pull, you let him aggro the creeps. Like, let's see this again. You did the side pull. What should be happening right now? And I guess you did this because he was kind of low and he pressured your Weaver. What you should do is nuke this guy, and then let the Weaver attack them while you de-aggro and run to the right. Because you run to the right, you can stand here, but instead, what does Puck get? He gets free last hits on the creeps that you pulled, and he has the opportunity to try to last hit any of the ones that he wants to kill, which he really should. He should probably kill this Hellbear. And instead, where you've been is wrapping around the whole tower, because that's what you have to do because you aggro the creeps. And then as a result, you get to the bounty rune late. No bounty rune, that's like a 160 gold point swing that happened because he stole your bounty rune. And now you're getting to the side camp, which he should have killed at least the Hellbear by now, so you would have lost resources there if he was a better player. And now the equilibrium is finally reset, and because you weren't over here messing with him, now he gets a side pull off. And this is all because you aggroed the creep wave, and this guy didn't pull it off of you, and you didn't run to the right. All because you had to go through this circle of events. Like, you just lost a bunch of resources. You're going to lose some experience as a result. Like, you need to get these last hits, for example. Like, if neutrals kill these, you get less experience. If you get the last hit, you get the gold, and you get more experience. So if your opponents ever do a side pull like this, you need to use your spells to guarantee last hits. Like right here, this is the most nuke thing I've ever seen on this range creep, because this is going to get denied now. Boom, denied. You guys get less experience, nobody gets gold for it, the lane equilibrium goes in your opponent's favor. And you're hitting 6 now, which is still a decent timing, and it's faster than it was in the previous game. But that's because you're Lich, probably, and you're maxing Sacrifice first. It's mostly the reason why. Okay, this is honestly, it was a fine choice. I would have probably walked to let it break me, but it was okay what you did. I think, don't you have Tranquils? I could have swore that you got a windlace earlier. I should probably go to player. Alright, so you're walking in the mid lane, you have a ton of Observer Wards, but what are those going to do for you? Observer Wards will give vision of your opponents, see where they're moving and stuff like that. But what you guys probably need to do is get kills. Like, the easiest way to kill this brood, by far, is if you pop a smoke while you approach, and then when you get close to this brood, you pop the smoke, or you pop the dust when the smoke breaks, and then you use Chain Frost and Frost Blast, and then the brood dies. You should... I guess I see why you did that, but I think that was a bit of a mistake. He should have channeled his first skill and it would have removed your invis. You haven't clicked on these heroes at all, which is crazy. You should have clicked on them to see if they had detection or anything like that. Might be wrong. Maybe they did, who knows, but this is another good thing that's really dangerous. Ricky's been here the whole time, but you didn't put a sentry ward down yet, even though you're fighting a hero. Like, you should have definitely put a sentry down earlier. As soon as he puts the smoke cloud down, you should definitely put a sentry down. Because at that point, he's 100% there, and there's a chance that he kills you. Alright, you got Tranquils, you put a ward, you put another sentry down, that's another 100 wasted gold. These sentries are so precious right now because there's a Brood and a Ricky. That's how you should use them. Use them to guarantee kills on your opponents, not to check for a ward. Because now that's 100 less gold that you might actually need when you get into a fight with an important hero. And in the meantime, they have an Alchemist. This is the craziest part about this game, probably, is that this guy's been sitting in the safe lane this whole time farming, and we haven't even looked at him once. He's buying terrible items, so it's like, this is all possible, but what you should have done is get fast 6, and as soon as you hit 6, you go to the offlane and gank with the smoke. Because Chain Frost does a crap load of damage, and with Chain Frost and Frost Blast, you can do a lot of damage and slow him, and with help from allies, easily get a kill. That's what should have been happening. I actually can't believe that guy has Blink Dagger already on Sanking. That's incredible. He has so many last hits. Alright, the gank happened. That's pretty good. Now you can move out across the map, get some map control. Again, 200 gold now wasted. Checking for observer wards in places where they might be, but probably are not going to be. This is super dangerous because the spiders can just dive and kill you. Looks like you're building mech, which is fine. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan. Like again, like the last game, you're pretty much spending all of your time warding. Is pretty much how you play your game. You kind of walk to where your allies are, maybe fighting, maybe not, and you ward. Is pretty much how you play Dota right now. You're not really setting up ganks, which was fine last game because you're Dazzle. But I don't know if you only play defensive supports kind of between like Lich and Dazzle. But the negative with Lich is you can't actually push waves nearly as well as you can with Dazzle. With Dazzle you can actually push waves fast. But Lich doesn't really do that. You're kind of an anti-pusher because you sacrifice creeps. So now you're just kind of running around the map when towers are being pressured and you're putting wards down. And that's pretty much it. You're not really farming either. Not that weird for Lich, but still, you have 2 kills, 2 assists, and 6 last hits, which is way too low, last hit wise. You should definitely be carrying Dust. Like, Dust is so much easier than Sentries, because you just pop it and you got them. Except for like Ricky, but against Brood, it makes a big difference in getting those kills. Like, you're just sitting around your lane basically. Like you're kind of still playing this game like it's a laning stage, even though we're 15 minutes in. But it should just be get a smoke. Meet up with an ally. You've got a smoke. Meet up with an ally that does damage. Like, it should be you, Sand King, and Mirana. You guys smoke, go kill Alk. Like, you should know where he's farming. Or, you know that Broodmother's still kind of in the mid area. Get a Dust. Pop the smoke. Dust breaks. Or smoke breaks, you pop Dust. Sand King does a blink, Burrow Strike. And all of a sudden, you guys got a kill. Hey, see like what he just did there. It just made it so easy when you have a Dust. It's like, blink and Dust. Done. And he puts a sentry ward down. I don't know if you needed to put a sentry to counter a sentry. I think that was really unnecessary because you just spent 100 gold to make sure that this small farming area is now protected. But you don't even have vision there. So it's like it's only useful if there's an invis hero there at the same time that one of your heroes is, which is just so low chance. If there was an observer ward, by all means, put a sentry down to break it. You should definitely use your nuke as well. Remember, how much time you spend pushing waves affects how much time you have for other things. So all of this auto-attacking here. And again, that's like 4 last hits you just missed. You should be getting all of these and using your nuke whenever possible. And you still have your ultimate ready to go. Your team's fighting, and what are you doing? You're auto-attacking creeps and pushing. Slowly. Now you got a buckler, you're buying more sentry wards. Which you're probably going to put on a cliff or something. Crossing the river through the river. Crossing through the river to ward on the enemy side is really not a good way to do this, because they're almost always going to see you place wards. Because if they have any wards at all, they're going to see you cross the river. And then in time, how fast you come back across the river again to where the ward is placed. Like, if Ricky's obviously been watching you this whole time, but if I had a ward on this cliff and I saw you do this, I know that you placed a ward somewhere over here, and I can probably guess where it was.
Dire's bottom tower
did he kill the ward? I think he actually killed it, is what he did. Hey, you put another sentry on. Wasted. 100 gold wasted. So, you buy more sentries. It's like you just spend so much on sentries. I don't know what the Shadow Fiend's been this whole time. Alright, so what are you doing? You're putting another ward down. Well, what's the point? Look at all the wards on the map. What are these accomplishing? You got real good vision. But who gives a shit? It doesn't do anything. They got all these towers that haven't been touched. Like, you're spending all this money. Like, by all means, buy your wards, but you need aggressive wards. These wards don't spot anything. All that your wards do really is protects them from easily farming these areas. But they could still farm them because their creep wave is pushed. The place your wards should be is like a mix of like around the tier 1s and in their jungle. But this ward, not needed. This ward honestly would be better served on their side of the map somewhere. And this one is okay, but I kind of wish it was like here or over here. So you're not placing wards in the right place. You're just like focusing so much on detection. But you should be focusing on Dota more so, which is getting hero kills, pushing lanes, pushing towers, things like that. And instead it's this like passive struggle where everybody just kind of stands around and waits until there's a gank opportunity. Like right here. Boom, this guy dies because he did something really stupid. Just really stupid.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Ooh, that guy actually died. Really took a lot of damage. Everything works out. You guys get a fight. You get 2 hero kills. You drop a sentry to counter their sentry. What's the point? They just wasted 100 gold. Now you're going to waste 100 gold? Come on. Why do they sentry there? Who gives a shit? Who cares that they have a sentry? Like, all their invis heroes were dead. Alright, you guys are pushing tower, which is all good. Happy you're doing this. This sentry, not the biggest fan of, because I think the tower was kind of healthy, and you probably shouldn't have, like, you guys probably shouldn't have been able to get this tower in my opinion. So putting it within the tower range I think was dangerous. I would have put it maybe a little bit outside of it. I think that would have been superior, personally. Hey, this guy's just gonna die anyways. Well, you get chased down and die. No windlace, no magic wand. All items that could be really useful.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Sand King's gonna make a good place. He buys a gem. That's another thing. If you just buy a gem, you don't need all these sentry wards anyways. You just need to like use enough detection to stabilize you to this point where you're in a good place. Let's check your GPM. I bet it's gonna be 200 something. And it is 212. It's decent. You're 3-1-5, but having 212 GPM for 3-1-5 is atrocious. This is like a really good KDA for a support, but your GPM is still nothing. Because you're not getting last hits when it matters, and you're not spending your time well enough. You're spending too much time standing around. 100 gold wasted. Don't need to control this area of the map if you just push the waves. Push the waves, gank a hero. Put the wards deeper.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Hey, here's Broodmother. He's literally hitting creeps. Like, this is exactly what should happen. Every time this guy hits a creep, this guy blink burrow strikes, and then somebody follows up. Alright, you easily could have killed this guy, in my opinion. But I think it would have required you guys to go in at the same time. He went into it early. If you waited like 1 second, and he basically jumps the same time you use Chain Frost, Frost Blast, then you could have killed this guy, in my opinion. Or at least it would have been close. But that should have been a kill. Now you're standing by sentry wards because you're scared, but who cares? Just kill this guy. If you kill this guy, now you don't have to be scared. Kind of like changes everything again. Alright, now you're finally ganking. Moving to the bot lane, gonna spawn an elk. Fortunately, your team is all going on different heroes. So you have a gem. He has a gem. But unfortunately, he just TPs. Alright, well, this guy is running here. Fortunately, he used Manta, so now the Chain Frost slow is gone. And it's actually just right-clicking you guys, but you don't have any items because you guys farmed poorly, ganked poorly, etc. So he lives, no problem. Still not even close to a mech. Like, functionally, your items have do nothing right now. They're actually so weak. You have... how much net worth do you have? You have 3,000 net worth, I can't even tell. You basically have Tranquil Boots and a Buckler as far as I'm concerned. Or a Chainmail as far as I'm concerned. Like, Mech Rush isn't even that good on Lich, in my opinion. If you do it, you need to at least get like a magic wand or something.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
This guy will die at least. Should be sacking as soon as you can. Like again, that's like 2 or 3 creeps that died that you didn't get last hits for. What are you focusing on? Sentries. Look, another 100 gold wasted by your team. That one was oh look, 200 gold instantly completely wasted by like what's the point? You guys scared of like a brood with a bunch of spiders showing up? Look what he's doing. He's hitting creeps over here. 200 gold wasted. What are you worried about? Does Ricky Maru dropping smoke screen on you while you're about to hit neutral creeps? Screw neutral creep. Just go gank somebody. Pop a smoke with 3 heroes. Smoke breaks, pop the dust, kill the guy. Push the lane. And then when you're pushing a tower, you put a sentry slightly outside of the tower vision range. And then this sentry here, while you push the tower, gives you everything you need. Because that's where they're going to be. If they don't gank you while you're pushing a tower, then they lose their tower. And if they don't come to gank you and your sentry is wasted, you got a tower. That is how you beat in Biz Heroes. Not this like put sentries all over the whole map thing. This doesn't do shit. All this does is like 1 out of every 4 sentries, your guy will be farming a neutral camp and he'll see an Invis hero. But it's honestly 1 out of 4. It is so not worth it. You need to put sentries where you are going to stand and you're going to commit to standing. Not just like everywhere across the map. This shit loses you games because your supports are just always under farmed. Like, I guarantee at the end of the game, like we can even check right now.
Radiant are scanning.
Let's like very quickly look at how many sentries you bought this game. You spent 1,900 gold on sentries. This guy spent 800. This guy bought 2. This guy bought 1. There's so many sentries. Like, you do not need this many sentries. There's no way. The only time I buy this many sentries is if it's a really long game and we keep losing gem or something like that. But you don't need this many sentries. There's no way. And these items are not very good. Like, you're gonna have mana problems here. Because you can't afford to spend 225 on Mechanism and Frost Blast for 190 apiece, and use your ultimate, like, and your net worth is extremely low for what ends up being a 40-minute game for 6k net worth. That's way too low, way too low. Did you guys win? No, you lost. Probably because you're wasting money, and you're not ganking that much. And now you're like, well, you might as well buy an experience tome to level up, and now you still don't have mech. You're 23 minutes in. You functionally have no items as a hero. You have no items that actually do anything to help your team win fights. These do nothing. Like a buckler and a headdress does actually nothing. Smoke to the top lane to gank the Ricky. Burrow strike misses. You guys didn't react to the smoke breaking early, which you should have. I don't know why you guys gave up. That was, maybe it was dangerous, but that's maybe all I can think of. You got the ward at least. I don't know. I think you did this because he cast spells on you from low ground to high ground, but I'm not 100%. This is too scared. It's maybe okay. I maybe would have gone deeper, but it is kind of dangerous to go. And what do you do with this? You will stand around again. Alright, I placed a ward. Frost Armor, my friend. Buy more sentry wards. Now walk somewhere and put another ward down. But like, you got your ulti. Use it on somebody. Go kill somebody. I don't care you don't have a stun. Go kill somebody. You do a crap load of damage. If your Chain Frost bounces back to the target at least once, go kill somebody. What are you accomplishing? You're doing nothing. Alright, you finally done something. It's been about 2 minutes, and all you've done is place 1 sentry ward. I'm sorry, 2 sentry wards, D-ward, 1 ward, and place 1 observer ward. You haven't killed 1 creep. You haven't collected 1 bit of gold for yourself. And now you're in a team fight, which is fine. Team fights are good. Glad you're here, but you haven't made this better fight for your team, basically. No, the gem. Alright, now you lose the gem, of course. Gem is lost.
Invisibility.
Ooh, I thought he was gonna get that one. That would have been sick. Alright, you finally got your mech. 26 minutes in, you farmed a 2300 gold item. Like, you should honestly have mech by like 18 minutes, 20 minutes. I feel like.
We'll take that.
Especially if you have no wand, no raindrop, stuff like that. And you definitely should have wand raindrop. At least like magic wand. If you're playing a 5 defensive support, at the least you should have magic stick. Because the extra burst heal it gives you is huge. Especially when you have mech. Like, you honestly can't do tranquil and mech on Lich without like an extra mana source like a magic wand. Which is super important. It's very easy to run out. So far I think your Dazzle is better than your Lich. At least between these 2 games, by the way. This is like the first time I've seen you just sit around and hit creeps. And what did you do? You gave up! You hit it 1 time, and now you're going back to nuke it again? Kill that damn thing. Don't stack camps, kill camps.
A prize.
She wasted like It's like at least 20 seconds to kill, 30 seconds to kill one centaur. And now what are you doing? I don't know. You're not doing this efficiently. You're wasting seconds. You're stopping to look around the map or something, trying to decide what you're going to do. If you're going to commit to killing a camp, kill it fast. And then later decide probably if it's a good thing to kill the camp maybe. But right now you just need to increase your farm levels. So you are not collecting gold enough. And just sitting up here by the Weaver, what's the point? It's like the least gankable area in the map. It's so far away from their towers or their shrines. It's better for you to sit somewhere else or do something else.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Alright, you're over here. You got some things. Oh, okay, you scared that guy. The arrow was going to hit the alchemist. But you scared him.
Radiant's top tower is
Your frost armor should have been on you the whole time, by the way.
Radiant's top tower is falling.
You used mech, you're completely out of mana now. You should have had frost armor on yourself before the fight started, and your teammates. And now basically, is gold advantage really bad? I mean, the gold advantage is bad, but it's also item choices as well. Oh, it actually worked well. Alright, SF is actually somehow owning with Ags. Ooh, that would have been actually really sick. See, he would have gotten the gem back to the base. This guy should definitely have Deso a long time ago. Just finishing it now. Use raise, damn it. This guy's pushing a really dangerous place. Alright, where you at? Alright, TP in. Got more wards to place. Here comes a sentry. Yep, there it is. This one is okay in my opinion because this is a commonly walked spot with an observer ward. So that means even if you guys aren't here, you might see some of their hero movements. I would nuke the wave, to be honest. Let's push it faster. The faster you push it, the better. You've got sacrifice to get your mana back, so you might as well use it. You're standing around, you got ice armor. Use ice armor, you're full mana. Like, guarantee that you have the most armor possible if you do get fought. Like, all these guys could have ice armor right now. Alright, use smoke, which is pretty good. Ice armor's off cooldown. Put it on Shadow Fiend, he'll need it. Put it on yourself so you don't die as fast. You saw the Alchemist now. Probably shouldn't have ran in so early. Okay, he just actually died so fast. Alright, pretty good fight. Midnight Shadow, push lanes, push lanes. Your sentries are paying off. Okay, sentries are paying off. That was Ricky blink striking, I see. So far, pretty darn good for your team. That was like the first really good fight, I thought. That was like really good. That was a really good movement from you guys, where you actually did something really aggressive and executed it well. Should be frost armoring everybody. Like, all these guys are taking physical damage from acid spray. That's lowering their armor. If they have ice armor, they take way less damage. This guy just got ice armor. Why wasn't it on him earlier? You know, like you're missing tons of like basic things on Lich right now. I think you didn't make as many basic mistakes on Dazzle, but either way, the same kind of principles are still there. Let's take a look at the last replay really quick. I think you said this was a CM one. I imagine we're going to have similar issues, which is this the correct one? Oh, that's right. We actually can't look at this one because the replay is too old. But we can look at the match maybe. KDA is really poor. You never want to have more deaths than assists on a support, unless you have like an ungodly amount of kills. Your GPM is extremely low at 180. It's not an acceptable amount. Yeah, you had a really tough game this game. You got some kills, you did some damage, but you didn't do very much. Like, if your GPM's ever sub 200, if it's ever like sub 250, you had a really bad game, as far as I'm concerned. Not the biggest proponent of CM right now, but I'd like to point out they have one Glimmer Cape, and you bought 7 sentries this game. I wouldn't have bought that many. I would have bought maybe 2 or 3. Maybe a dust. Just leave it at a dust, maybe. Expect the Glimmer Cape, use a dust. There's no way you needed to buy 7. So stop buying so many sentry wards. I would leave it to like if you know they're pushing and if they have a ward up on the cliff, you guys are having a bad time, then put a sentry down. Or if they have a Shadow Blade, like, and you think they're gonna buy a Shadow Blade, buy a sentry ward. But you're definitely overbuying sentry wards. Oh, I guess they have an invoker, huh? I forgot about that one. So I would say, I'm still assuming that you overbought a little bit, but maybe no more than 4. I still would buy a dust. You should buy dust more, I think. Dust is really useful. It's really good against heroes that move faster. or ganking heroes that are under tower, stuff like that. So your big issues are you are not relying on yourself enough to generate gold in terms of pulling. You do not pull enough at all. You are not pushing waves well enough. I know that's really hard to do on Lich, but you're not thinking enough about like where to gank and where to move to gank when you play. You probably should have gone for a health perk over movement speed. I like the movement speed one, but I just, it's really not better than the health one. Lich really needs a little bit more health. You're having some skill misuse, but honestly your biggest issue is just you're not pushing lanes and you're not spending your time well. You're thinking way too much about support and not too much about making sure that the team is stronger, which is a huge part about being effective as a hero. Like something like a Force Staff would have been really good this game against a Riki. So SF's quite farmed.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures
he actually
are
does so much damage.
fortified.
So you're definitely buying a good amount of wards, but gotta place them better, spend less on sentries, gank well, push lanes, and I think that'll solve a lot of your issues.
Dire's top tower is under
If I was to give you homework, I would say the episode you maybe need to watch that I did with A9 was Guide to Doing Shit, which is, let me see which episode this is. I didn't have the episode number on this one. I'll link it in the drop-down box, but it basically talks about lane pushing, killing enemy towers, things like that. Because you're not affecting the game enough with what you're doing right now in both games. You're kind of just going places and fights are happening. You're trying to react or do well. You're trying to affect it in a positive way, but you just need to push lanes more, things like that. Yeah, this should definitely solve a lot of those issues. Either way, I hope this is really helpful. I think you're close to playing the hero correctly and you're hitting a lot of major things, but you're just you're really overlooking the meta of pushing lanes and creating pressure outside of just showing up at team fights. And you're not thinking enough about getting yourself resources. You need to be greedier as a player, actually, big time. You're being way too self-sacrificial. Think of yourself slightly less as a 5 and think of yourself a little bit more as a 4, if that helps, if you're watching pro scene at all. Either way, hope it was useful. Thank you for the sign up. Thanks to your girlfriend for signing you up. I really appreciate it, and I hope you learned a lot. And again, if anybody else wants to get replay coaching, go to coaching.purgegamers.com, and I will equally berate your plays with a similar level of disdain. So thanks for signing up, and I will see you guys later. Bye.